tell us. You told me the story. I love the story. Tell us about your work with like one of the most successful basketball players in the world right now. The event that you did with LeBron and LeBron James, and how that came about. Why he wanted this particular item.
Yeah, so Audemars Piguet, which is a Switzerland's luxury watch brand, AP as we all call it, because Audemars Piguet is too complicated. So
you're the only one who can pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, I know, that's the French. That's the French. Those are two last names actually from the founders that remain pretty complicated to pronounce. So they called us because LeBron James is a very good friend of Jay-Z. Jay-Z had a limited edition watch from AP done a couple years ago. And LeBron was like, hey, Jay-Z, I want the same watch. I want a limited edition. That sounds cool. So Jay-Z gave the cell phone number of the global CEO of Audemars Piguet, which is our client, and said, so LeBron called Francois and said, hey, I want a watch. And he said, what do you mean? He said, oh, I like watches, but I want a special edition with you. And Francois said, yeah, we'll be happy to do it for you. It's a 3-year process. It takes a lot of your time. You have to fly to Switzerland a couple of times, and it is a true collaboration. We just don't do celebrity watches where you give us just the color you like, the size you like, and we just produce it. We are not that type of brand. They produce most likely 30,000 watches a year. Rolex is many millions a year. Just to give you a size of how small that business is, even though, you know, most of the watches they sell are between 15,000 to a couple millions, depending on what you want to buy.
And are most of them that custom experience where the customer has to be involved?
If you do a limited edition, what LeBron James wanted to do is to sell a LeBron James watch to the world. So it was 600 pieces, limited edition, and they were $51,000 retail. And my job was to do the global launch of that watch with LeBron James and with Francois, the global CEO. So I will just speak about one little section of it because it's a pretty large event and it was pretty complicated to put together. But to go back to handmade, one of the first requests from Francois was, I want to make sure that it is not only about, you know, celebrities and showing off like beautiful watches and expensive. You need to portray in the presentation that it is about craftsmanship. There's thousands of tiny little elements, and it takes, you know, hours and hours to put together. And I want you to showcase that craftsmanship. So what we did is when LeBron James came on stage, he had no watches on his wrist. He put his wrist into a magic box. And what we did is we were scanning his wrist inside the box. And we had a very large screen behind LeBron James where you could see with the camera that we had inside the box, you could see what was happening around his wrist. We were scanning the wrist and we were virtually, obviously, magically, let's say, building the watch live on his wrist as everybody was looking. The beauty of that technology was that everybody could see all those tiny pieces usually that you never see inside being projected on that very large screen behind them. Wow. And showcasing the craftsmanship, showcasing how complicated the mechanics are in those watches. And obviously give you a better understanding of the price or the value of such a watch. So we did that, and when LeBron James took his hand outside of the box, magically he had the beautiful first limited LeBron James edition, and was a really good ambassador for the brand. I think it was so the 600 watches were sold a couple weeks after the event.
Wow.
So you had retailers in the room, you had consumers, and you had journalists. So it was about 600 people, and it was a really successful launch where we mixed the tradition of Audemars Piguet, but also, you know, the coolness, the sexiness of LeBron James. So that was, I think, that was a really good partnership.
Wow. And he pulls his arm out. The crowd goes wild.
Yes.
Like, I did it. Yeah.
And you know what? He's a really smart guy because he was just flying back from his honeymoon the day before. And he didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. And I was with all his team the day before. And I was like, you know, we're going to have a couple hours to rehearse it because there's many more things to do. And they say, oh, don't worry, we call him the one take guy. And you know what? It was true. I told him once what to do. The next day, he did it perfectly. One take, no, almost no rehearsal. Amazing.
Wow. That is an awesome story. So besides, I mean,